This video is for you if you recently realized that the relationship that you're in no longer serves you and you want to break up with them, but you cannot get yourself to break up with them. In this video, I want to expose one big breakup lie that your subconscious may be telling you that is keeping you stuck, what that lie could be showing you, and I'm going to go through a 3-step process that you can take right now to break free from the big fat lie. Okay, so what is the lie? The lie is perceived safety. Your subconscious doesn't understand what is necessarily better for you. It just knows what is familiar, and familiar equals safety. So if you want to do something like break up with someone, get someone, like remove someone from your life, that's going to change something in your life. And your subconscious might have a reaction to that. It might be telling you all these things like, it's not safe. It's not safe to get rid of this person. It's safer if we just stay. That's the big lie, because it really isn't. But our subconscious really controls about 95% of our thoughts, feelings, and actions based on all the programming we've had from the past, from our childhood, from situations we've gone through. So your subconscious runs the show most of the time. You only really operate in the conscious mind for like 5%. Like 5% of the conscious actually, most of it's from the subconscious. So if you're finding it very, very, very hard to take the action to let go of somebody from your life, more than likely it has to do with your subconscious. But the cool thing is that this lie really brings up what it could be actually showing you. So when you make a decision to change something in your life, when you make a decision you're going to break up with this person, you don't know what's going to happen afterwards. You don't know what the reaction's going to be. You don't know any of that. When you start asking certain questions, it might start to show you why it's so hard to break up with them. So what we're going to do here in the 3-step process is, first, we're going to get clear on why you can't break it off, because we need to know why. Without knowing why, it's just going to be really hard. You might actually take the action, but if you know why it's so hard, then you know what you need to work with so that it isn't so hard and so that you understand what your body's kind of trying to tell you. And then secondly, we're going to create a plan. We want to create a plan around this. So whatever comes up when we are getting clear on why, then we're going to take another step and we're going to kind of try to figure out, okay, what is a good plan to start working with this so that we can get to a point where it's easy to take the action to break it off. And then thirdly, I'm going to walk you through an exercise on how you can create safety within your nervous system regarding this change, because that's also very important. Let's say you know that you're in a bad relationship, but you need, and you break up with them, but then afterwards your nervous system is dysregulated and you're not going to feel good. So we want to regulate our nervous system, and we want to get it back to the point where we feel safe with this change. And that's going to really help move through the transition of this breakup a lot easier. Okay, so the first step, getting clear on the why. So there's a few questions that I'm going to ask you right now. If you have a piece of paper, it might be helpful to like jot things down, or you might want to come back to it, or if you can remember it, that's great as well. But when I'm asking these questions, I really want you to, the immediate first response that you get, whether it's a thought, whether it's a physical sensation, I want you to pay attention to that and maybe write that down. That's the thing that we want to write down. Pay attention to it, because that's your body communicating with you. That is what we're looking for here. So the first question I want to ask you is, what are you believing to be true if you break up with this person? What are you believing to be true if you break up with this person? Write down the first thing that comes up, whatever physical sensation, that's going to be your clue. Another way of kind of rephrasing this would be, what do you fear will happen if you let go of this person? What do you fear will happen if you let go of this person? So while you're doing that, I'm gonna pet my dog because she's kind of freaking out a minute. Okay. Oh, it's okay, baby. It's okay. Okay, so now that you've been paying attention to your thoughts and feelings, now I want you to actually sit, and we're going to take a couple deep breaths. So we're going to do inhaling through our nose. We're going to exhale slower. We're going to have a longer exhale through our mouth. So just breathe in. Let's do another one. If you want to put your hand on your heart or your stomach, just physical contact with your body kind of helps also calm you down. Okay, so now what I want you to do, you can close your eyes, you can leave them open, whatever you prefer, but I just want you to visualize yourself actually breaking up with this person. Just bring it to your mind, like what would it look like? What would it feel like to actually take that action and break up with them? And again, as you're doing this, I want you to really pay attention to any feelings, any thoughts. The thoughts here are very important. Okay. So just visualize that now. And then once you come back, if you need to pause this to keep doing it, go ahead and pause it. But then a couple other questions I have for you are you afraid of how they will react? Is that something that came up? Like, are you afraid of what they're going to do, say, what their reaction is going to be in the moment? What are you afraid will happen when you actually break up with them? And then another question is, what are you afraid might happen to you if you break up with them? This one's a big one. This one's a big one as well, because not only are we sometimes just fearful and uncomfortable with the possibility of like how they're going to react, but another big one is this going to affect your life? Maybe this is a marriage. Maybe this is a partner that you share bills with. Is there money involved? How is this going to physically affect you if you were to break up with them? I want you to write this down. These are very, very important, because the next thing we're going to do is we want to create a plan. So write anything that comes up here. Write it all down. And before I go into how we're going to create a plan, I also wanted to let you know that when I had this idea for this video, I really felt like there was so much to talk about here. There's so much that we could dive into. There's so many different things as well that are going to be coming up for everybody. It's all individual, right? So what I went ahead and did is I created a free community on Skool, Skool, for you guys. So, because I was like, I really want to be able to have more interaction, conversations. If you have questions and you don't feel comfortable putting them, in the comments here, the link will be in the description. It's 100% free. You can come join. Please know that I'm on the plan that I have to manually accept you into the community. Therefore, it might take a little bit of time before, like if you join, please be a little patient. It might take a day for me to then get you in, depending on time zones and what's going on and everything. But if that's something that you would want, if you want help with this on a deeper level, if you want to communicate with me or other people that are going through the same thing, let's create a community here. Because right now, if you watched the other videos from last week, like we just had some major eclipses, and one of the biggest themes of these eclipses is What are you done with? What needs to end in your life? What is it that no longer serves you, that you're just done with it? So like, it's all about endings, and endings they can be scary if you're viewing them a certain way. So I really want to dive deeper into this kind of stuff with you guys. So join the community if that's something that, if you're here still and you want to do that, it's free. The link is in the description. So now I want to give you a little story about my personal experience with this, so that I can kind of better, so it kind of explains the plan, like creating a plan. Why do you need to create a plan? I actually did it unknowingly in one of my relationships. So a long time ago, I was in a relationship, and I hit a point where I knew that he was not good for me. I knew on a conscious level I wanted to break it off. I knew I would probably be better off without him in my life. I knew this all on a conscious level, right? But I could not physically get myself to break it off. And it really kind of tormented me for a little while before I realized why. And I was just like, why is it that I know he's not good for me, and I know I need to break up with him, but why can't I just do it? Like there was just this like wall up between physically doing it, but knowing that I should do it. And so I sat with myself and I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, what do I feel? What do I think is going to happen when I break up with him? And I realized in that moment that there were kind of two things going on there. One was that I didn't really trust myself to live and get through life on my own. And then in that moment, that's when I realized I was codependent. And that was what the lie was showing me, that I was codependent. I didn't trust myself, and I didn't have the self-confidence and self-love to actually be able to break up with him. So unknowingly, I kind of created this plan. Now that I knew why I couldn't do it, but I knew I needed to, I started working on those things. And I was like, okay, well, how can I build up my self-confidence to the point where I can confidently let go of him, and then trust myself that I'm going to be okay without him. Like I was better off without him. But that's not what my subconscious believed at the time, right? So what I started doing was really starting to get to know myself. This was back before I ever had a self-love practice. This was before I really even knew exactly who I was, and what I wanted in life. So I started just connecting with myself every night. I created a ritual around this. At the end of the day, I would just sit in silence with myself, and I would let whatever thoughts come up. I would question them. I would question why I'm thinking them. I started to just spend time in silence with myself to get to know myself and to see what comes up. And then for my self-confidence, self-trust and confidence, like they kind of go hand in hand. And I've shared this on a couple other videos, but one way to start developing your own self-trust, if you know you really just you don't trust yourself, is to start following through on every little things that you say you're going to do throughout the day, and just become very aware and conscious of the things that you're saying you want to accomplish that day, and follow through. And then when you follow through, celebrate it. That's a huge part. You got to celebrate, because it's like showing you, hey, look, I am trustworthy. So that was how I started to build my own self-trust. And then with that, my confidence, when I actually started connecting with who I was, and I was, asking myself, why do I think the way I think? Why am I the way I am? And diving deeper into that, it really started increasing my self-confidence as well. Because when you know yourself, when you start to develop love for yourself, when you start to be kind being kind to yourself is huge. You really want to start being kind to yourself. Your self-confidence will naturally just kind of start to lift. It'll start to gain momentum. So if you're there, if that was something that came up for you, basically you want to take what's coming up and just start asking questions about it. Figure out, like, where does this come from? Go back into your childhood if you need to. Think of past experiences, situations that, like, you may be able to link to, like, maybe you have, I'm drawing a blank right now. Like, if one of your parents abandoned you when you were young, you might have abandonment wounds, and that can also kind of create codependency. Like, for me, that was one of them that helped create my codependency, because stemming around my dad. And so when you start to figure out, like, why those things are there and send love to those things, you can do some inner child work. And if you want to dive deeper into inner child work, a lot, like in conjunction with what's going on here, join the free community and just type that in. Like, there's you can it kind of looks like a little social media page where, like, you can type in whatever you want. You can put messages out, and we can go into, like, an inner child healing session as well. So yeah, definitely join the group if you want to go deeper and you have questions about how you can create your own plan. So basically my plan was, unknowingly, I was creating a plan on how to break up with him. I wasn't doing it on a conscious level. I was just working with what came up in terms of why I couldn't break it off. And as I developed that, as I started working with myself, it got to a point where I was just like, I'm done. and it was just easy to, like, oof. And it came out in a rage. I will say that was the first time I had ever almost blacked out with just, like, verbally vomiting what I was so done with. Like, I held so much in that relationship. It was not healthy. And when it came out, it came out. So, yeah, that was the first and only time I've ever, like, yeah. So, okay, so now that you know what's coming up and you can kind of create a plan around it, if you want to go deeper into the plan, join the free community and post your questions, and we'll dive into all of that. Now, the other exercise I really wanted to bring up with this regarding safety, nervous system safety, because especially if you are in a traumatic relationship or you've had traumatic experiences, which is what created this blockage of not being able to speak your truth, not being able to just let go of what's not good. We really want to regulate our nervous system, and we want to reprogram that for safety with what we are trying to do. So what would that even look like? So one thing that I really love doing is, in a quiet setting, I want you to put your hand on your heart and do some breathing like we were doing before. So like a 4-second inhale, and then you're gonna take like a 6 or 8-second exhale slowly through your mouth. I want you to do that a few times. Do that 3 or 4 times. Really sink into the safety and calm that can bring you. And then once you're there, I want you to bring up what you're used to. What are you used to right now? And keep breathing through this. You want to keep regulating your nervous system. Like, what do you feel safe with right now? What feels safe right now for you? If that is being in this relationship, and what does the safety mean to you? For example, if having this person, even though you know they're not that great for you, and again, I really need to mention, if you are in an abusive relationship, you don't want to wait to break it off. Like, there are safe ways, and there are resources out there. I highly recommend looking up, if you have family, if you have friends that can be your support system, reach out to them. Just find a way to leave if this is abusive. But for any of them that are not abusive, but you know it's not right anymore, feel into, what is your baseline safety right now? What does that look like? Does that look like having this partner that you see X amount of times a week? Figure out what is it about this that feels safe to you. And then I want you to envision a new safety. I want you to envision, after you break up with this person, I want you to go into, what do you want your new safety to look like, to feel like? Once they are not there anymore, will this give you more space to breathe? Will this give you more space for your own inner work, your own time? Will you be able to be free to go hang out with whoever you want to hang out with whenever you feel like it? What is your new safety? And since it's new to you, it's change, it's different. This is one way that we can bring in, and we want to link the safety, the new safety that we want to experience, we want to link it to our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest state. Like, by being in our parasympathetic nervous system while we're bringing up something that's new, that's different, that we haven't experienced yet, and breathing and regulating our nervous system while we're bringing that into view, while we're thinking about that, while we're visualizing that, that's going to start regulating your nervous system for this being your new safe. This is going to be your new safety. So that's a little exercise that I've used this exercise in a different way. I learned it from another person on YouTube that works with money and nervous system regulation and stuff like that. So, but you can really use it for anything that you want to create safety with, really, because when you're dealing with the money aspect and you want to bring more money in, and your nervous system doesn't feel safe with it, doing this exercise will get your nervous system accustomed to the new safety of this new number. And you can use this for anything, anything that you want to create safety with, you want your nervous system to regulate with, so that when it appears, it already feels safe. Okay, it doesn't make you kind of freak out. Because sometimes, especially when we break up with someone, and especially when there's been this big hook in us around the relationship, if it's been hard to break it off, the new empty time you have, there's so many little things about that could actually trigger you. It could actually trigger certain things, and pay attention to that as well. If you notice after you do break up with this person that the silence, the extra time is kind of making you feel anxious, come back to this exercise. But really, you want to regulate your nervous system with any new change that you're bringing in, that you're wanting, or that you have now been, now that you have it, if it's there now, you want to regulate your nervous system so that it can hold that, it can be okay with that, and that becomes your new baseline normal. So that, and again, if you need a support system through this, that's, the community is there, it's free. Join. In order to join, I ask you 3 simple little questions. And then when you come in, definitely introduce yourself. I have a pinned post, so read the pinned posts. And yeah, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Right now it's a private community, so the only people that are going to see these posts are me and the people that are a part of this community. So take advantage of that. And if you're interested in the eclipse videos from last weekend. I will go ahead and post the first one here so that you can go watch that. If with that one, I take you through like a 4-step process. If you're feeling a lot right now and you feel like you can't really get a hold on what you're thinking, like if you have like overwhelming emotions right now that you're like, where is this coming from? I don't understand this. That process could help you. So the video, I'm going to link it up here at the end. And if this video helped at all, definitely like. If you're new here, welcome, and subscribe if this kind of stuff, if this inner work and is like your cup of tea, definitely subscribe and like the video so more people will see it. And feel free to comment if you don't really want to join the support group, but you want to share something that came up for you, definitely comment down below. And until next time, have a wonderful day.